Hi, my name's Aaron.
Hi, I'm Jasmine.
And today we'll be going around university asking about people about the recent strikes.
Have you heard about the strikes that are happening at Bournemouth University next week?
Yes, I have heard about the strikes. All our lecturers have told us about it next week, yeah.
So are your lecturers getting involved in the strikes?
Yeah, I think most of them are, but we also, I think one of them isn't going because we have a trip, but they're taking us on a field trip.
So that's not being affected by the strikes?
No, he's not allowing that to be affected, yeah, which is good.
So how do you feel about the strikes taking place?
I guess I'm not too bothered by it, but at the same time it could affect like the lectures that we're supposed to be having at that time, and there'll be a backlog, I guess.
So the strikes are for lack of pay. Do you agree with that?
To be honest, I don't know enough about it to say, but I suppose if they're not getting paid what they deserve, then I guess it's fair enough.
Do you have any concerns about you missing lectures next week?
I do have concerns because it means there might have to be catch up, and then I'll have to obviously fit in more work than I would originally.
I'd just like to ask you a few questions about the recent university strikes. I'd just like to ask you, are you aware of the strikes regarding the university staff?
I wasn't there.
Would you have liked to have been warned about the recent strikes?
Yes, definitely.
Obviously you're affected by this, and do you support the people that are going on strike?
Yes, if it's to do with pay and things like that.
Yeah. Are you worried about the potential impact on your work?
Yes, if it takes away from what I'm paying for uni.
And have you had any recent absences of lecturers or anything like that so far?
I personally haven't, but I have heard people have.
And lastly, what do you think universities should do to compensate for the striking?
Rearrange lectures and stuff for people who are missing important work.
Have you heard about the uni strikes that have been going on?
Yeah, we've actually all been really well informed about the strikes because the uni has been emailing us, giving us all the information we need to know.
And have you been affected by it?
Not directly. I mean, for me, my university experience is more about independent learning. So the lectures where they're striking, I feel like so long as I have the resources sent to me, it's not going to affect me and I can put my own work in to maintain that level of keeping up with everything.
Okay. What are your concerns about the strikes?
I think my main concerns are that it could sort of provoke further action to be taken. It's sort of creating this agenda for further strikes to happen across the country, and it's not that this is a direct concern for me, but I think as a whole students should start worrying, because if this is already happening, it's gonna spark more action to be taken. I think it could be quite detrimental for many people.
Do you believe in the reasoning behind the strikes?
I'm not that familiar with the reasoning, but generally, in my experience on strikes, it's generally to do with low pay. You know, class is too big. So I think I can't speak from experience here because I don't know the exact details on this. But I think the strike is probably fair enough.
Okay. And what do you think the uni should do to compensate for it?
I think they should extend deadlines to people. I mean, I know I'm just saying that, but I think it's fair enough. If they're striking, some people need to learn face to face, and if they're not having all their lectures and they're getting crammed in at later times, I think they need to compensate students for that. Maybe extend the deadlines for certain assignments they need to do and things like that.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, cool.
Hi David, so I just want to ask you a few questions about the university strikes that are happening next week. So are you involved in these strikes?
Yes, I'll be going on strike for all 3 days of the strike.
So why did you decide to get involved in this strike?
There are 70,000 lecturers across the country who voted to go on strike for a number of reasons that affect their pay, their conditions and their pensions. So that affects me too, and I feel upset that we haven't been looked after.
I'm sorry to hear that. So what outcome are you looking for after the strike ends?
Okay, what we would really like as a union is a substantial pay increase, because in real terms pay has decreased by about 20% over the last 2 decades. We'd like to see our pensions restored in that 35% of the value of our pensions has been taken away for our retirement package for the average lecturer, and we'd like our workloads reviewed so that they are not as unmanageable as they are for so many of my colleagues and myself.
Should the uni do something to compensate for the missed lectures?
That's really up to the university to say. Obviously, as lecturers, we're really upset that we have to go as far as this. Striking is a last resort. But unfortunately that means we have to disrupt our work, and that does affect students. So none of us want to do that, and we'll do our very best to make sure that that does not affect students' education, but ultimately it's a dispute between us and the university, and that does affect how the university will be able to deliver education in the short term.
Do you have any empathy towards the students that are missing out on the lectures?
Of course I do. As a lecturer, I don't really want to have to go on strike. I don't like having to interrupt their education for however long. I don't like having to refuse to do certain bits of work, because ultimately anything I do affects students. So that's one of the difficulties about going on strike as a lecturer. You know that that's the thing you have to stop doing, but that's the thing that will make the university listen as far as we're concerned in the union.
And the last question from me is, do you think this is the catalyst for future strikes?
It depends on the university's responses, this university and universities nationwide. Obviously the union will be prepared to take further action if required.
Today we spoke to a variety of students at Plymouth University about the recent strikes.
We also spoke to one of our lecturers who gave his personal perspective on the strikes.
If you have any queries or questions about the strikes, please email us or give us a message at Nerve TV.
Thank you.
Bye!